In this video, I'm going to share with you how to answer the "what's your greatest weakness" question if you're asked that in an interview. Hey everybody, it's Brian from Life After Layoff, and today I want to bring you another Recruiter Reveals on how to answer the question, what's your greatest weakness? As a corporate recruiter with over 20 years of experience interviewing and hiring thousands of people into some of the world's most well-known and well-respected companies, I do know a thing or two about interviewing, and I'm going to spill the beans right here for you. But before we get too far into it, if you're interested in more videos just like this one directly from a corporate recruiter, make sure you hit that subscribe button. All right, so you're in the interview and inevitably you're going to be asked questions around greatest weaknesses, greatest strengths. So what I want to do is break down why the company asks you this question and what we're hoping to learn out of it. Also give you some strategies on how to identify weaknesses that you should use, and then give you a sample answer that you can massage to suit your own needs. So let's talk about why companies ask you that question to begin with. So the company's going to ask you what your greatest weakness is, really to learn a couple of things about you. Number one, how self-aware you are of your weaknesses. And number two, how you overcome them. Because companies want to know that you can identify what your weaknesses are, but also that you can overcome them. And I know a lot of people are sitting there saying, man, if I admit a weakness, they're going to use it against me, and it's a trick question. And I would say in general, this question is not designed to be a trick. They're really legitimately trying to see how you identify your weaknesses and how you overcome those obstacles. But I guess it's worth noting that in some cases it could be a trap question for you. And let me explain why. If you're interviewing for a role that requires a specific competency, it's probably not in your best interest to list that competency as a weakness. So let's use accounting as an example. If you're interviewing for a CPA job and you list one of your weaknesses as you're not really great with numbers and organization, it's probably not going to be a good look on you. So use your judgment and when you pick your weaknesses so that you're not throwing yourself inadvertently into a trap. But trust me, in general, the question is not designed to be a trick, but there is some strategy that you can apply when answering this question. So let's break down some of those key components. First thing that you want to do is take an honest look at your background and identify a weakness. And we certainly don't want to say, gosh, I don't have a weakness that I can think of. We really want to reflect honestly on areas that we can potentially improve, because listen, everybody has an area that they can improve in. And one way to approach it is to look at your least favorite aspects of your current job and try to identify what they are and why you feel that way. Because that's going to give you an indicator of a potential weakness. It's kind of like going to the gym. If you don't like doing pull-ups because they're difficult, it's because your back is weak. If you can identify the weakness, you can start to do exercises to improve it, and eventually you'll be able to do pull-ups. Again, thinking in terms of something that you've struggled with in the past and you've overcome. So what are some examples of things that people tend to struggle with? Well, it could be time management. It could be organizational skills. It could be learning how to say no or pushing back on somebody. It could be prioritization. It could be being an introvert and not being naturally outgoing. It could be that you struggle asking for help. It could be multitasking. It could be public speaking. It could be email communication. It might even be dealing with difficult coworkers and not losing your cool. It could be that you struggle delegating non-value added tasks. So of course, this isn't an all-encompassing list, but it should hopefully start to get the gears turning. Once you've identified what your weakness is, the next thing that you want to do is figure out a way that you've overcome it. So it is helpful to apply the STAR methodology to this question, where you identify a situation where you actually had to demonstrate the weakness. Then think of a time that you overcame it, because you're going to use that example when you give the interview answer. So how can you demonstrate overcoming it? Maybe if it's time management, you got better at working through calendars, or you came up with a scheduling system that was more efficient. Or if you're introverted, maybe you read some self-help books. Maybe you started going to a public speaking class and put yourself out there. Of course, the third part of the equation is that you want to tie in your learning from the weakness that you overcame. So let's break down an example of how you can answer that particular question. So for me, I've tended to overcommit my schedule and put too many things on my calendar for a given day. And what I found, it was negatively impacting my ability to get back to everybody in a timely manner. So I created a system where I block off certain times in my week for sourcing, and I block off an hour at the end of each day to follow up with any of those flagged emails that I need to get back to. And as a result, I've been able to stay on top of my commitments in a lot more effective manner. Now, that's an interview answer I actually give when I'm interviewing myself. The purpose of this example is to illustrate how you identify a weakness, how you overcome it, and what the result is. Take some time before you walk into your next interview to really brainstorm some of these things, and I think you'll find it a much more comfortable question for you to answer. So there you have it. That's how to answer what's my greatest weakness in an interview. But if you're somebody that's struggling in your interviews and you find you need more help, that's actually something that I specialize in. I've got a website called alifeafterlayoff.com, and it is loaded with tips and tricks all from an insider's perspective. And I give my deepest and most intimate knowledge in the form of a couple of training courses. The first one is called Resume Rocketfuel. It's designed to teach you exactly how to write a resume that is going to give you the best chance of getting noticed for that first round interview. And once you get that first round interview, it's then up to you to sell yourself throughout the rest of the process in order to land that offer. And that's where the ultimate job seeker bootcamp comes in. So I highly encourage you to check those two out if you're struggling in your job search. And I also give a lot of value on my TikTok channel. So if you're not following me over there, I will leave a link in the bio. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Best of luck on that interview. I'm sure you're gonna hit this one out of the park. We will see you on the next one.